My partner and I strongly affirm the resolve. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization should substantially increase its defense commitments to the Baltic states. Contention 1. Russia posed a threat to the Baltics. Subpoint A. Russia's military has the ability to take over the Baltics. The GFP ranking is a way of measuring a nation's potential for war by taking into account its capability to cross land, sea, and air by standard means. For 2021, Russia is ranked 2 out of 140 out of the countries considered for the annual GFP review, GFP 21. This means that Russia, with the exception of the United States, has the highest military ranking in the world. Not only is this the case, but in recent years, it has been found that Russia has even been further improving its military. Over the last 10 years, Russia has clearly strengthened the fighting power of its military in terms of readiness, mobility, command and control, quantity of forces, and actual fighting power. Robin Rush 21. These two things combined show the intense power that the Russian military has, especially in comparison to the rest of the world, which would put any nation in a bad place if Russia decided to invade it. Contention 2. Russia wants to invade the Baltics. Subpoint A. By invading the Baltics, Russia would benefit economically. Russia, for many decades, has sought to maintain power through a variety of different tactics. Staying in power means continuing to grow the economy. If the Baltic states are not reliant on Russia for energy or compliant with their exports, Russia could face economic threats or more costly shipping and an overall lack of regional power, driving them to act militarily. Hayes Jr. 20. This shows that Russia is largely motivated by regional power, and not having that would likely drive it to invade a region that threatens that regional power, meaning any nation or nations at risk of attack should prepare by increasing its defenses. Subpoint B. Russia would love to have a more prominent geopolitical status. Invading and proceeding to annex the Baltic states would give Russia more land as well as naval strength. This, in the eyes of Russia, means becoming more geopolitically relevant. Not to mention that by invading the Baltics, Russia would have more control over its neighbors, which is also something that would mean having increased geopolitical power. It has been one of Kremlin's highest priorities to preserve as much influence and, where possible, control over its immediate neighbors as it can. It has done so through formal institutions and various informal mechanisms, one of which is setting the terms by which it and the outside world define that neighborhood. Burles Jr. 21. This all demonstrates that Russia undoubtedly has a lot of motivation for wanting to invade the Baltics, so it would not be a valid argument to say that Russia has no desire to invade and annex the Baltic states. Subpoint C. There have already been recent incidences of Russia showing signs of wanting to invade the Baltic states. Davis Petraeus, a chief advisor in the International Relations and Operations Group at the Ministry of Defense of Lithuania, focuses his research on the Russian military. Petraeus claims that based on Russia's military exercises in 2017, Russia has a plan in place that would create much conflict with NATO in the Baltic region. If Russia is prepared to invade, the defense commitments from NATO should be increased in the Baltics so that they can better defend themselves. Contention 3. The Baltics do not have the means to defend themselves currently. Subpoint A. Sending troops if Russia decided to attack would take time. Because the Baltic region's military is not as good as the United States is, the biggest chance at fighting the Russian military off would be to send NATO troops there, the US's troops, of course, being the most beneficial. And there is a consensus that if the Russian advances has triggered the NATO alliance's mutual defense obligations, NATO military forces would have to remain on the sidelines. Bender 15. This means that in order to put off an effective defense, if need be, it would take valuable time that the Baltic states would not have. Likely by the time NATO reaches full consensus, it would be too late and Russia would have already invaded the Baltic states. Subpoint B. The brigades that are in place as well as other defenses would not be enough to deter Russia. Brigades or subdivisions of an army are set up in the Baltic regions, but according to experts, the brigades are likely not enough to be able to defend the Baltics. David Splack is a research analyst. When asked how long the 7 brigades could hold out against a Russian attack in the war games, he said 28 days. Grady 17. It has also been noted that the combined brigades has an inadequate air defense, artillery, and armor. Benedict and Benedict 17. Of course, a study by the RAND Corporation also found that NATO's infrastructure is vulnerable, and damage to it caused by even limited numbers of nuclear attacks can substantially degrade NATO's military capabilities. Meanwhile, Russia is able to withstand comparable levels of nuclear strikes against its forces. PEC 19. Because Russia's military poses a threat to the Baltics, there would be a strategic purpose to invading the Baltics from Russia's perspective, and currently the Baltic states do not have the means to defend themselves currently. My partner and I strongly affirm the resolution. Thank you for judging, and please vote affirmative for the resolve. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization should substantially increase its defense commitments to the Baltic states.